dive and enter session number 6, and there we will talk about logistics. And again, first questions first, is autonomous driving in logistics the silver bullet for sustainable mobility? We will find out with our next speaker. Please welcome on stage Augustin Friedel, Senior Manager Mobility Transformation at MHP.
Good morning, everyone. Good to be back here on stage. For me, it's the first event since ages, since like more than 2 years. My name is Augustin. As Susanne mentioned, I'm a mobility enthusiast. I cover the space of mobility transformation since roughly 12 years. And today I'm happy to share my high-level view on autonomous driving and the impact on the sustainability aspects. If you talk about autonomous driving, it's the next disruption of like mobility space, automotive, and transportation. And if you ask me, it's even bigger than what we see today with the electrification, because it's basically changed everything. Like the drivetrain, the software in the car, but also like how we use mobility and transportation as customers and as users. In the last couple of years, more than $200 billion were invested in the different parts of autonomous driving and the different layers and different areas of the technology. And if you ask me, it's just a matter of time until we see there the next Tesla moment or the next iPhone moment where a company will come out of the, or come to the market with like a solution that's astonishing and everybody will be surprised. So the question is, how do we get there? Yeah? All of you know that there are like 6 levels of how we classify autonomous technology from 0 to 5. And basically today we see 2 approaches how we tackle the challenge, how we get there. One side is with ADAS technology from level 0 to level 3. That's something we see in the automotive space. Like there are a lot of automotive OEMs, automotive players active in the space, developing the technology, the solutions, and they basically try to climb up the ladder. We are there at level 2, level 3 at the moment, and we will get this direction also to level 4 and 5 in the next couple of years. The other direction that's focusing more on the shared mobility aspect are the tech players. So there we all know Waymo, Cruise, Zoox, the Chinese players like WeRide, Baidu, they go the hard way and try to enter the space on level 4 and level 5. So that's where basically not a human is monitoring the driving situation. That's where like the autonomous system is monitoring the driving situation. And that's like the use case there is that they focus more on shared mobility, on Robo Taxis, shuttles, and like the automotive OEMs that you see on the left side, they try to challenge and tackle more the area of private mobility of the personal use case. So where are we today on the 2 different sides? If we talk about ADAS and autonomous driving systems on level 2 and level 3, we see different approaches at the moment. There, like most of you have heard, that Mercedes-Benz, a premium car manufacturer, that they have like the first level 3 system authorized here in Germany, like with a limited domain, so it's just now only on the Autobahn and on certain like distances of the Autobahn in Germany, but they will expand from there. If you look to the US, we have like a strong focus there on level 2 ADAS systems. There are players like General Motors or Ford that push their like ADAS systems on level 2, and they try to expand the road coverage, the network coverage, so that the customers, the users, can use the features more and more across the US. If we go to Europe again, we have then also players like Volkswagen Group, that they also try to enhance then the driving or like autonomous or like ADAS systems, not only with the data that's collected by the car, so they have then go the next step there as well to use like swarm data to make the whole fleet more intelligent and use the data collected across the whole fleet to improve then the functionalities, the safety and the use cases for the ADAS system. So that's where we are today on the ADAS front. If we then go to the next side, or to the right side on the chart you have seen before, it's like the tech companies and the Robo Taxis. So that's basically where everybody wants to go, level 4 and level 5. There we have like different trends and different progress across the world. For me, most surprising and impressive is like China. There we have like strong tech players like Baidu, or then also Didi, that are like have like a lot of progress there in the space. For example, Apollo, that's the Baidu company. They have also already driven more than 1 million miles in autonomous shuttles with passengers. They are active in 10 cities and they offer already commercial services. Similar picture in the US. There we have then also tech companies, either like financed by Alphabet or Google, so by the big tech companies in like the GAFAs in the US, or then also by automotives like Cruise, where we also see already like first commercial pilots, where we see like pilots in maybe suburban areas, and like when you follow the news, they're coming closer to the city centers, they're coming closer to like full coverage. And yeah, that's also very impressive to see. Another aspect that we have there is like Robo Taxis, and then in the area of level 4, level 5 are new types of vehicles and new partnerships. So today it's a bit surprising that we have partnerships between US and Chinese companies sometimes, but like Waymo, for example, they partnered with Geely to develop like a purpose-built vehicle for like robotaxi services without steering wheels, with like different interior concept optimized for sharing, optimized for then robotaxi services. That's just one example. There are many more, like either new entrants go this way and try to offer vehicles and special purpose vehicles, and also like traditional OEMs like Geely here, or like also Hyundai and others. They also try to enter this market and prepare the products when the technology is ready. So that was where we are today on the like ADAS front, like basically what automotives, traditional automotives are doing, and what we have then also on the level 4, level 5 front on autonomous driving, dominated by tech players and like tech companies funded and supported by automotives. The last area I would like to cover is what are the potentials and requirements to improve and increase the impacts of autonomous driving for like sustainability and more areas of like our daily commute, our daily lives. So we all know and talk about the potentials of autonomous driving. So if done right, we could have lower emissions and lower traffic. So autonomous vehicles are like normally fully electric, so the pilot projects we see today, the vehicle prototypes, and yeah, what we have there today, they're like all based on electric platforms. So that's already good, but I think the main impact there on sustainability would be then like reduced traffic. The second area, the sustainability aspect, is like costs of mobility, costs of transportation. So that's also like the fantasy of like when we have like autonomous driving on scale, that like the costs per mile will be way lower than what we have today with the driver-based systems, because we don't need to pay like a driver, we don't need to pay a person, and on scale the systems should be cheaper per mile, so that would have then like reduced cost of mobility and allowing mobility, or the access to mobility and movement to like a wider audience without owning a car. And the last area, or the last potential I would like to cover here, is inclusiveness and accessibility. So there, if like a system is driving the car, yeah, you can also think about elderly people, disabled people that have like difficulties to go from A to B today because they can't drive or because they can't access the mobility ecosystem, the public transport ecosystem. So there, like autonomous shuttles, autonomous drive, or like autonomous vehicles can really help these groups of our society to be like mobile longer to be to enable them to be mobile again without owning a car or without like paying a expensive driver to shuttle them from A to B. So these are like the potentials we see there in the future. But how do we get there, and what are the requirements we need to meet until we can fulfill those potentials and make progress there? So first is that we need like the stable technology and data security. So there we make progress, as mentioned before, but I think we are there still at the beginning. So there in the next couple of years, I hope, and I'm very optimistic that we see then there like development trends and like more stability in the technologies and the systems we can have to roll them out and then in broader use cases and then like all around the clock. The second part is that we need more support from the public policy and regulatory side. So there we have some countries and areas in the world that are very progressive on this front. I would like to mention that China, so they do a lot to invest in smart infrastructure and 5G networks to help the companies that are developing the tech and the platforms to have access to finance and to the funds to scale those services. So I think that's something we could replicate in more parts of the world and shape the environment that allow those companies to roll out their services and also to have them policies that basically support on reaching lower emissions, lower traffics by the making, for example, autonomous or shared mobility the preferred mode in cities and reduce like individual traffic. Because what wouldn't work is if we have an autonomous shuttles and all the private cars in the city, that would make the situation worse. We would have not less traffic, maybe more traffic. That wouldn't help on the emission side. So I think that's a lot of like room where we can improve and what we could do there. And the last part, and I would also say that's super important, we need to integrate those autonomous shuttles, autonomous driving systems within the public transit systems we have today, within the mobility ecosystems we have in our cities today, because this just would work if it's like an integrated part. We need to avoid that it's a separate part and that it's, we need to sync it all together and then also improve the acceptance of those services in this way. That's important that the citizens, that the users that should use those services, that they have the trust, that we create the trust in the systems. And that's something we need to do together, or like that cities, authorities, the tech providers, and also the operators need together. So that's basically it from my side. So I think it's very promising. We are at the beginning there of the huge transformation. And I would like to thank you that you listened today, and want to mention that we are like working on a study that will be released towards the end of the month about autonomous driving and sustainability. That's something we will do together with the Fraunhofer Institute. And there we have conducted more than 4,000 surveys from people around the world and have gathered great results. So there, stay tuned until we will release that. If you want to talk to me, feel free to reach out to me today. I'm here. Please connect with me. Either grab me here, or then also feel free to link me or add me on LinkedIn afterwards. Reach out to me there. I'm looking forward to discussions, to your thoughts about this topic. And that's basically it from my side. If you have questions today, feel free to ask. Thank you very much.
And you will be on our panel later on.
Yes,
so
correct.
Thank you very much, first of all, Augustin, for this overview. I mean, you come from a consulting agency or company. What I was thinking the whole time is, do you notice any differences in between the countries, like Europe, China, United States, in really bringing autonomous driving on the road?
Yeah.
Did you notice anything?
Yeah. So a benefit of China and the US is that they have like big companies like Baidu, Google, and others like that are really driving the technology. I think that's missing in Europe, and that's a big difference, and that's like a big benefit for those continents. So that's a major. Then the second one that I also mentioned or already mentioned in my presentation is like public policy. So there we have also different levels of engagement. If you look into China, for example, they're like very progressive in investing in smart infrastructure, in investing in 5G environments, allowing those services, commercialize those services. So I think that's also like a major difference if you look there at the broader landscape.
Perfect. So is there anything that we can do as people, as society, to speed up a little bit the use of autonomous driving?
I think that also we need to shape the regulatory environments here to allow those services, be more open for the technology, and then also like from entrepreneurial side, take more risks. Yeah, I mean that's to start this kind of business. You need a lot of money. You need a lot of like passion to drive it. I think that's something we could, like especially here in Europe, could do more. Maybe we are missing the technology background and the money companies like Alphabet or Google earn to fund those projects, but I'm sure there are different ways to get there. I think that we need to be more progressive and start more activities in this area.
Absolutely. So we will talk a bit more about that in our panel later on, but just for now, where are more use cases for using autonomous driving just beside people transportation?
Yeah.
Where do you see potential?
People transportation is one, as you mentioned, and then the second one is in delivery. And there are two aspects. One is like last mile delivery. That's something we see in the US and in China already, where we have like the small delivery bots. Maybe you have seen them on Twitter or like on Facebook, where we have like a fun video where they were all stacking together and could move, or like we're stuck in the snow and maybe in the Nordics or in Canada. So I think that's an area to get your food delivery, you get your grocery delivery like on an autonomous robot. And then the second use case is then more on like long distance transport. There we have then also like more progress in the US, for example, in a less complex use case than in like urban mobility, where we have then like long haul trucks like equipped with the systems. And this is like a great use case for autonomous technology, and it also helps on the other end, because there you have like, we all know that there are like driver shortages, and that's something we could then solve, or could be a piece to solve this challenge then there as well.
Perfect. So again, I'm just going to check on your questions, guys. Come on, what's up today? Nobody has a question. Then you explained it perfectly. We have one in the last row. Perfect. A round of applause for our first question today. Come on.
Do you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we do.
I want to ask about ethics. How ethics is stopping the autonomous cars to getting into the market? Because when you are in a situation where you could kill the driver or the pedestrian, then it's a question of who will be responsible and what will happen in this case.
It's a good question. I don't have the answer for that. I think like we
none of us have, I think.
I think none of us have. Yeah, but I think that's definitely something we need to talk about and agree on, something that works. Yeah. So it's, but yeah, I don't have the answer for that question.
Perfect.
There's a second question.
We have another one. Yeah, it's you. We bring the microphone to your place so we can hear you better.
Super, thanks. Maybe adding to that, I mean, from your experience, you mentioned countries like US and China, which are much more, or which seem to be much more open and much more progressive with regard to autonomous driving. But now that the question with the ethical issue arose, do you, from your experience, see or realize a different attitude to those ethical questions? Is it a discussion, for instance, in the United States or in China? Or is it rather neglected there? I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
So my personal experience and my view is there that China, they focused very much on safety and the safety of the whole systems, and they maybe even more conservative in rolling out those services to make sure that the questions are solved. If you look in the US, I think we just need to look there at what happened, with accidents with Uber, for example, and I think they learned from that, and now are also thinking more about safety and about ethics, and not apply maybe the rules that they have done with their previous technologies and previous innovations to rush to the market and then basically like improve the service in the market. So I think that's part of the industry, like the discussion about it. And we have the different ways. Like China is more focused on safety, more conservative. In the US, I mean, we know the innovative culture there. They learn from it, but also I see the progress to more like the ethical thinking, and more focus on safety, inclusiveness, and so on. I think that's also going in this direction.
I think it would be really interesting to have more surveys here.
Yeah.
Definitely is a new field. Okay, no questions anymore?
Yeah.
One last, but it must be really the last one, because actually we are 2 minutes over now. I just saw that.
Hi. Regarding the Robo Taxis, how do you see the chances of the Berlin-based startup Way in Germany?
I mean, they have an interesting use case. I think, like, as I know, they focus more on like teledriving at the moment, to bring you the car and then you drive yourself. I think could be a good way to enter this market. They have like a great team. They have good funding. So I'm very positive that they make something out of it.
So do I. Perfect. Then Augustin, thank you very much for the moment. We see each other in a couple of minutes.
Perfect.